Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. Now, I've been reading a lot of comments from our viewers, from our subscribers, and by the way, I really appreciate the community because our community has been growing very, very rapidly. And I decided to do a video on the 5 myths about stimulus negotiations, about the status of the second stimulus check and unemployment benefits extension, because I believe there's a lot of misinformation out there and I wanted to set the record straight once and for all. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 myths pertaining to the second stimulus check and federal unemployment benefit extensions and what you should know so we can set the record straight, because I don't want any of my viewers to have the wrong information. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. I appreciate you being here on the channel. If you do learn something new, please consider clicking like, please consider subscribing, please also enable notifications so you get an instant update about future videos going forward. Now, before I get started with these myths, I see 1% of our viewers and subscribers talking about what they call fake news. Now remember, if you're reading an opinion piece, if you're reading something that's someone's personal opinion on the Washington Post or the New York Times or Fox News, then yeah, you could say that there is, someone's personal opinion. But if you're looking at quotes from public officials, it doesn't matter whether the quote is on CNBC or Fox News or New York Times or Washington Post. It is not fake news because it is an actual quote from the government official. So don't just throw out the word fake news, because you actually, you hurt yourself and you don't give yourself the opportunity to learn something. So again, if something is an actual quote, it doesn't matter which source it's from, it's actual news because that's what the person said. But yeah, if there's a liberal slant or if there's a conservative slant and you have an opinion about that, that's totally fine. But don't just throw out the word fake news, because I believe that honestly that hurts the person claiming that it's fake news more than anyone else. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Let me jump into the 5 myths surrounding the second stimulus check, the state of the current stimulus negotiations, and the federal unemployment benefits. Number 1, the first myth is the president can do a lot of things on his own. And the reason I say that's a myth is the president issued executive orders a week ago, but the president's hands are tied when it comes to the second stimulus check and federal unemployment benefits, because that money has to be appropriated by Congress. Congress has the power of the purse within the constitutional framework of the United States, and that's the way the United States government works. So while the president can do some of the things that he's done in the past week, reallocate funds, essentially, make an end run around Congress in some way, shape or form, the legal framework to be able to take large amounts of funds essentially rests with the House, with Congress. So a bill has to be essentially generated by the House, has to be approved by the Senate. Both sides have to see eye to eye, and we have a political gridlock here where the House is controlled by Democrats, the Senate's controlled by Republicans, which is why the president has to go and take executive actions and sort of use presidential power. But again, the president cannot do too much on his own. There's a limitation to what he can do. And I've seen some comments saying, hey, why can't the president just do everything, forget the House, forget the Senate? Well, this is a democracy. This is not a dictatorship. That's what the United States is. It's a democracy, and it's, that's the way the system is, like many other democracies all over the world. So that's just the way the system works. Number 2, the United States Postal Service has got nothing to do with this. Oh gosh, that couldn't be further from the truth. I believe the United States Postal Service mail-in ballots will be the next flashpoint, the next big showdown, the next big topic of conversation leading up to the November election, because President Trump is very much against mail-in voting, against the absentee ballots, and he said that for him the concern is that the fraud, that this could be the biggest election fraud. These are the words of the president. So this is going to be a big issue, and the allocation of funds for the Postal Service, the Democrats want $3.5 billion for bolstering the election capabilities of the Postal Service, and another $25 billion for the Postal Service. And the president has indicated that he doesn't want to do that. Now, the president did also say in an interview later that he would do it, provided certain things were in place. But by and large, there is a significant degree of opposition. In fact, all you have to do is take a look at the president's Twitter feed as early as today, and you'll see the president's concerns about fraud with absentee ballots and with mail-in voting. And so that's going to be a big flashpoint. So, and the Democrats want that to be part of the next stimulus package. And the president has basically said he's not going to sign it But then he also said he would be open to it. So this becomes a gray area where it can essentially derail, and in some ways it is derailing the whole thing, because remember, the two big differences between the two sides have been unemployment benefit extensions and state and local. But now a third thing is emerging, which is money for the postal service, and this problem is going to get bigger in the coming weeks. You heard it here first. Number 3, let's talk now about federal unemployment benefit extensions. Like I mentioned earlier, the current program, the $400 a week program, is not federal unemployment benefit extension. It's not. It's actually the Lost Wages Assistance Program. I believe I've seen the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times call it the Jobless Aid Benefits Program. Again, the money, that the $600 a week booster that expired at the end of July, which by the way some people are still getting, because your benefits go up until the end of July, and sometimes you get your money late. So I do know some viewers, some subscribers who are getting that money from July still sort of trickling in to them, because what are we, in the middle of August right now? The fact is that money has to be appropriated by Congress, and it goes from Congress. It's from the House to the Senate, and then it's signed into law by the President. So that's basically how that works. So again, the President cannot on his own extend federal unemployment benefits. What he has done though, and through the executive order, is to reallocate money from FEMA through what's called as a DRF, the Disaster Relief Fund, and a portion of that money, approximately $45 billion, will be used to chip in $300 a week towards unemployment benefits to individuals who are on unemployment, provided they qualify. And I've covered qualification criteria in other videos. And also the $100, the remaining $100 a week, comes from the CRF fund, which is essentially money from the CARES Act, allocated towards 2 states. C stands for the name of the illness, CRF fund, and then that money will then chip in $100. So essentially all $400 is essentially a federal benefit, and then the White House said that, the states don't have to chip in. So it is in effect $300 if states don't chip in. So that's where things stand right now. Now also I've seen this comment from other viewers and subscribers. Here's the myth: a deal can happen anytime, and lawmakers can be called back with 24 hours advance notice. Now it is true that lawmakers can be called back with less than 24 hours advance notice. It is true. However, a deal cannot happen anytime. It's not going to happen anytime. Remember, the way our system works is both sides have to sort of be on the same page. Then they have to agree. Now remember, we're talking about 4 individuals: Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer on the Democrat side, and the White House lead negotiator Stephen Mnuchin, who's the US Treasury Secretary, and the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, representing the administration, with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying, hey, whatever you guys agree, I'll go along with. These 4 people have to strike a deal in a room. That's step 1. Step 2, they have to draft the bill, which takes 2 to 3 days at least. Step 3, the House has to vote on it. The Senate has to vote on it. You got to then get all these lawmakers back from their congressional districts back and vote on it. And then after that, the president signs off on it. So guess what? We aren't even at step 1 right now. So yes, the lawmakers can be called back with 24 hours advance notice, but let's be realistic. Guys, I'm always going to level with you. I don't want to give anyone false hope, but at the same time, I'm an optimistic guy. I do want to try and give you good news, but I'm going to level with you. I'm going to be 100% straight with you. At this moment in time, at the time I'm recording this, the sides aren't even talking, let alone a consensus for a deal. So therefore, a deal can happen anytime soon. I'm sorry, that's not happening. And finally, and this is the big one, the economy has been destroyed. And by the way, this is the 5th point, and after this point I'll talk to you about what I consider to be the X factor. Think of it as an extra insight from me, if you will. There is an X factor in all of this, but first let me talk about the 5th point. The economy has been completely destroyed. Guess what? The economy has been destroyed for the low wage earners and the middle income earners, those who are in travels, entertainment, hospitality, leisure, hotels. Those are the ones who've lost their jobs, many of them permanently. A lot of small businesses have been destroyed. But the bigger businesses have continued making more and more money. The bigger businesses have received paycheck protection programs. The bigger businesses have received EIDL loans, Main Street lending programs. And I did a video yesterday. I will provide you with a link to that video, where the economy has actually already recovered for those who make more money. In other words, the rich are not only back on track, but they are making more money than ever because the stock market's at an all-time high. Home prices are at an all-time high. And all the people who make more money now have their jobs back. The affluent have their jobs back, presumably because they can work remotely. They can essentially, they don't have to work in an office. They're not required to, work in a movie theater. They're not required to work in a low wage or a middle income job, which typically tends to be less remote. Okay, so but on the other hand, those who are the low wage earners and middle income earners have been crushed. So the economy has been decimated for the most vulnerable, for the weakest, which is horrible, which is terrible, but it is what is happening. And by the way, it pains my heart to talk about this, but I deliver all this information. I have to take a few deep breaths because some of this information I deliver with a very heavy heart. But these are the facts that, the rich are actually getting richer. The system is rigged. I've done another video on my channel where I've talked about why I think the system is rigged and how I think we should prepare for the next phase of our lives beyond this, and I'll be coaching you about that in my channel as well. But again, the fact that the low wage earners have been essentially decimated, have lost their jobs, many of them permanently, is the unfortunate reality of this particular situation. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about the X factor. I believe the X factor is vice presidential, is the vice president's pick for vice president, Joe Biden's pick for vice president, Kamala Harris. I believe Kamala Harris is the X factor here, and setting aside the political differences, the ideological differences between the two sides, Senator Kamala Harris has been in favor of the $2,000 a week payment to American families during the pandemic, along with a couple of other senators, and then 3 months beyond the end of the public health emergency. She's been in support of that. And the Joe Biden campaign hasn't yet publicly commented on that, but you can see this sets up what is essentially a financial ideology showdown, if you will, where you have one side who basically says, hey, people should get more money during this public health emergency, and another side that says, no, we want people to get back to work. This is a very complex subject, but this is where things stand right now. I hope you learned something new from this video. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. If you learned something new, please click the like button. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications if you want to get instant updates from our channel. If you want to learn more from us and get breaking news and alerts, get your cell phone out, type out the word ignition or time, because the name of our channel is Ignition Time, and send a text message to 70,000, that's 70000. You'll get added to our SMS list and you can opt out at any time. You can also get added to our email list, and you agree to a quick disclaimer, and then you can opt out of the emails at any time as well. We'll send you breaking news and alerts as well as any further information that we may release. I really appreciate you watching. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video of Ignition Time. Don't forget once again to click the like button, to click the subscribe button. I would really appreciate that. I'll see you in the next video of Ignition Time. Thanks. Bye.